General Carville. Soviet invasion confirmed. Execute launch order 010, Adam Delta Charlie.
My friends.
Have confirmation. Missiles prime.
Armed!
Missile command.
You ready to be doing that?
Remember what to do, friends. Now tell me right out loud. What are you supposed to do when you see the flash?
Duck and cover.
Vad sa du?
Undrar om det hade hjälpt mycket att göra sådär. Jag tror inte det. Delta-01 launch facility. Ska vi gå ner och titta snart.
Pretty big perk. Right? When you see the bedroom, you may not agree. They slept on rotating shifts, 3 shifts, 12-hour shifts, so 2 people were off duty, so they could go out and play a little one-on-one. So when you go to look at their bedroom, you'll notice that the windows are painted black. They're painted black because they might have to sleep during the daytime. Now they did have their weapons, so they would lock their weapons up in that wall locker right there to my right. Now you'll notice on the wall locker and on the door there's a large orange sign with the number 4 on it. Well, in the military that means this is where we keep weapons. So if there's ever a zombie apocalypse and you need a weapon, put any federal installation, look for that on a door or a building, the weapons will be behind it, guarded by zombies. And if you want to check out the kitchen, it's over here to your right. We'll talk about their food. The food was prepared at Ellsworth Air Force Base, wrapped in foil, frozen, and brought out here underneath armed guard. It was then locked in those refrigerators and freezers. Why would you go to that kind of extreme with your food?
So they didn't get poisoned.
Exactly. The cook fed the launch crew. So the mission couldn't be compromised. The food had to be kept locked and secured. All right. If you had a really good cook, he or she would unthaw it, spice it up a little bit, make a goulash. If you had a bad cook, they'd partially unthaw it, throw it at you and say, have a nice day. This facility was pretty popular. There's a rancher out back that used to buy eggs from him. You always got fresh eggs and fresh omelets at Delta. Everything in here is catalog, right down to the Q-tips and the garbage cans. Wow. So if you need, if you could do me a favor, sir, if you could read that headline on the People magazine out loud for us.
Hillary the first 100 days.
Yeah, Hillary the first 100 days. Bill Clinton was sworn in January 20th, 1993. This facility closed February 22nd, 1993. So a month after he was sworn in, this facility closed. That dates back to January 93. So this is where they lived, this is where they slept, this is where they took their time off, all right? Now, we're guarding the launch of nuclear weapons, correct? Does anybody see bulletproof glass or armor? Come on now, let's get everybody in here. Does everybody see any bulletproof glass or armor?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Oh,
Where is
no,
it?
no.
Yeah, exactly.
Have I seen?
So there,
Yeah.
this door was normally closed. It was buzzed open by the launch crew downstairs, all right? So their job was to make sure that this door was open, the blast door was shut. In addition to that, they would check IDs, make sure anybody that wanted to get in here was valid to be in here, on the list, had the proper ID. Has anybody been out to the missile silo yet? There's a motion detector up there, looks like a large skinny white rocket. There's a light and a buzzer downstairs. If that light or buzzer comes on, they would call up here and say, we've got an alert at Delta-09. They'd take 2 security personnel, put them in a peacekeeper armored vehicle, send them out there. You're going to find this emergency exit. So now we're going down 31 feet into the atrium. We're not going to the deepest part. The deepest part's actually way back in the corner. When we get down here, you see a large steel disc. There's a sump pump underneath there. We're underneath the water table. Right? Where I grew up, the water table's 8 to 13 feet below ground. The missile silos were 87 feet deep. Do the math. You know what I'm talking about, Grand Forks area. Yeah. Okay, you know where Niagara is, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why the Minuteman 3s were taken out of the Grand Forks fields and moved. Because they were maintenance problems.
Yeah.
Awesome. Down here. It's so cool. Watch your armor, please. Thank you. So, I'm going to crawl out of here. And I'll get the doors. We'll talk about this stuff. This is called glass door art. And the crews would have painted different things on the walls for motivation. All right. I like to joke around that The contractors on a military basis always had to bid to be our vendors. So in 1988, the Army got Robin Hood Pizza and the Air Force got Domino's. That's where it was cut. We could go right to where it was cut.
Really?
You did not want to be the person that cut it. Because when they show, go ahead.
I worked for an engineering company when we got out of school in Grand Forks.
Yeah.
We designed rural water systems.
Yes.
We fed water to a couple of these large
Yeah.
control sites. We put in our plastic pipes 7 to 7.5 feet deep.
There's that much steel on there, 2-inch steel. All right. So the capsule inside of here is a large steel, looks like a Zeppelin, like a blimp. And inside of that is a shipping container. Goes on a train, goes on a truck. Okay. So they would wrap that. They would start building that steel Zeppelin. They'd put the container in, weld it shut, wrap it with rebar, and pour 7 feet of concrete on top of it. When it was done, it looked like this. When you're actually standing right where the elevator shaft meets the A train. Now the elevator shaft's thin, it's only 2 feet thick. All right. This is about 5, this is 7.
Wow.
Right? These pipes right here, that's incoming and outgoing air. The air is heated, air conditioned, filtered for poisons and chemical contamination upstairs. These pipes go down and come back. There's several blast doors in them. If the system senses a shock or any type of poisoning, it shuts it down and isolates it. Whoever thought they'd get into one of these? Guess what? There's Cooperstown, Ontario. You can go see that.
Really?
Yeah, it's a double capsule setup. It's completely different. Really? Some of it's the same, but some of it's a lot different. So when you get in here, you'll notice this is 1/2-inch steel right here. Okay? Here we'll move 1 inch or less. Designed to isolate shock. Sure. So when you look over, you see all the cables are braided. They're all flex type cables coming into it. That's why. So now we're going to launch center. As we go in, we have to stay on this side of the carpet. We'll ask you to walk. Now why would you tie everything down? It's real simple. If you didn't tie it down, it could fly around and become a weapon. The bed is actually tied down because the mattress could fly out and hit the deputy commander in the back of the head and knock him unconscious. He wouldn't be able to complete his mission. So they kind of planned for that. Okay. So the deputy commander sat right here. The commander sat down in the end. And notice the deputy commander had a lot of stuff to cover. Well, he did. Commander had a mirror to make sure that the deputy commander was doing their job and or needed a shave or haircut. Just saying. So this is their communication system. I'll get out of your way so you can see it. They used teletypewriters. Okay. Their communications came in on paper. They had a brown paper bag they kept down here in this cubicle, and they would throw the paperwork in there, and they destroyed it at the end of the shift. So if they got a launch order, they would take the paper off, open up the code book, verify that it was a valid launch order. If they did have a valid launch order, they'd pick up their phones, they'd do a conference call with the 4 other launch control facilities. Remember I talked about 4 other launch control facilities that they were attached to. One of the other launch control facilities would be determined to be their first set of keys, because it actually takes 4 keys to launch a missile. The movies has that wrong. They also said it's 2 keys, it's 4. Somebody in another capsule would have to turn their switch to us, turn their keys before our keys would work. It's safety, and the Soviets knew we had that. So, once they had verified they have a valid launch order, they'd open up this little red box right here. Now, each of the officers had their own padlock. The other one did not know each other's number. So no one person could get in the box. Again, it's another safety. In the box are the launch keys and the cookie. The cookie is a plastic card that the movie does have right. You crack it open, there's a sheet of paper in there. It has the enable codes to turn the missiles on. This is the enable panel right here. The codes would be inserted right there. Guess what the codes were? So, this right here is the computer system that monitored the 10 missiles. In addition to the 10, since we're wired to 4 other, we got a printout right here of the other 4 control centers. We'd actually see the status of 50 missiles. Your smartphone is 10,000 times smarter than this entire rack. However, your smartphone is hackable. Behind drawer number 3 right here, Delta 3, is an 8-inch floppy drive. Several months back, there was a large article in the news about the U.S. government was buying floppy drives and arcane software. There are 45 of those still in the system running Minuteman 3s.
Okay.
They're unhackable. You can't get into them.
Yeah.
So should we replace it with a smartphone? No. We'll have war games for real. So anything to do with launching the missile had a seal on it. You notice the seals have been removed off everything, including this glass door, because that's where the deputy commander put their key. The commander's panel, the switch to help launch another place's missile, is right here. If we want to launch Alpha, we'd turn it to 1, turn our keys, then Alpha would be live. The switch to pop another antenna up's right here. These outer security, inner security lights right here, those are the security lights on your missiles. If somebody's monkeying around inside your motion detector, that's going to come on. These lights here tell you your generator's dead, your batteries are dead, your sump pump's not working at those silos. You notice the first missile is L2. Launch 2, lift 2, we're launch 1. Alright? Scariest thing in here is this little green light right here. It says indicator missile away. The light's on,
Missile's gone.
this is gone. Not a good thing. So, for entertainment, we have a television. Who has the remote control? Commander? Deputy commander?
No way.
Facility manager upstairs. Never make the sergeant mad, right?
I was gonna say the cook, but
No, not the cook. Facility manager.
Can't give them all the power.
Over the corner, there's an AM/FM cassette player with one speaker because lowest bidder says you just have to hear it. It doesn't have to sound good. All right, I'll get out of the way, and we'll talk about under the floor over here is weeks worth of food and water. Under the floor right there was 8 hours worth of battery power. No gas masks, no chemical suits. All right. There was an escape hatch. We can't show it to you because they've covered it up. We found out when the escape hatch, when they were destroying these facilities, that the escape hatches had actually collapsed, and there's no way they've ever gotten out of them. So they still exist. I think I told you that they're bed and breakfasts, and they're. Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they still exist. So
Yeah,
the
somebody
Minuteman
turned
3s
one into
are
a
different.
house.
There's a second
Yeah.
capsule, but you can get into the one in Cooperstown, North Dakota. It's the Ronald Reagan Memorial Missile Site. You can go see an Atlas down in Tucson, Arizona.
And that's a Minuteman 3?
It's Minuteman 3, yeah. Kids are like, what's a teletypewriter? I'm like, what's a fax machine with a keyboard attached? Oh yeah, they got that. So now this is the extreme low frequency radio antenna. I didn't talk to you about that because depending on time, I don't know else to talk about that. That thing is really slow. It gets a character like every 3 seconds. Ka-chung, ka-chung.
is that where they kind of put out a cable grid underground?
There's a huge steel bar out here. We're on radiation monitoring detail, so we want you to go out back here and just walk around the perimeter, see if there's any radiation leaking from the missile cables. And they'd send him up by that huge iron bar for the ELF, and he said they'd walk over it, he'd watch the wand go down and the mask come on, and he'd come back at 100 miles an hour. You remember, go get a box of ground guides or grid squares, all the games we played. So we'll start heading this way unless anybody's got any questions. I'm going to stand on the bridge and tell you to please not trip and bump your head. I don't want to have to carry you out of here. It happens quite a bit. People hit the bump right here and for some reason they tend to trip.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what the guys get back grips, yeah.
They do for flashlight. Yeah. That's the maintenance guys can get, or gals can get back in here, work on the pumps and the cable system. You take this flashlight, you can lean over and look if you want to look. Just don't drop it because I'll never get it back. Don't fall in, right? Don't fall in.
With the flashlight.
Yeah, we've had to call the curator to come get glasses out of here before. So
That's what I was just hoping
yeah. If you go see the silo over at Ellsworth and you drop anything in there, they will not go get it. So keep a good grip on your camera.
Shut up.
What do you think that was for?
They're actually, well, we use this one for some pumps, I don't know how many years.
Not that many people were using it either, so.
Yeah, not that many.
Somebody lost some hair there.
Use the control system for last. That's all I think last of the day was some pump. How much you had to control? That's all. It's just, you need something.
That's why there's film on tape on it.
And then it would rotate so you could lift it out and then rotate it. Sorry. Oh, you're fine. What about it?
It went out so fast I didn't score it. Matter of fact, the blast doors, the first time they tried a blast door, when it popped, it actually went so far and so fast off the back, it tore the fence down and dragged the whole fence over the hole. So they had to put breakaways in the fence. So you got 3 minutes worth of fuel on board. So 3 minutes after you launch this thing, it's 148 miles away and coasting. Basically, it's out of fuel at that point. Excuse me. So we'll start heading up there. We got the safety. Watch the gate there. Yeah, that's the last thing we're going to talk about. Things to not forget. First thing on the list is your hat. In the military, you're not allowed to go outside without your hat on. Okay, it's called being out of uniform. So these guys down here were officers. The guys running security were usually sergeants. They like to pick on each other a little bit sometimes. It's a little game they play. So if you were silly enough to leave your hat downstairs, you had to go back through security to come get it, and some sergeant was going to say, "Gee, Lieutenant, you're out of uniform." So that was on their list. Other things that had to be destroyed, like the communication tapes from the other missiles, the status tapes, the code book of who was allowed in or out that day, and any communications. So they had their brown paper bag and their hat, and they'd be getting ready to go destroy that. We'll talk about that right now. So we're going to have you go out this door to your left, and since you're allowed to touch doorknobs, you can open the door while I put my hand on. Oh. All right, Dan.
Security control.
All right. Thank you, sir. I like to have a little bit of fun at work for some strange reason. My folks were from
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure. Oh yeah. Oh, like my dad, my father. Thank you again. My pleasure. Let me get a little water.